Hi, my name is Jacqueline Martin, and this is my final project, Grizzly Bear Conservation in Northwest Montana for Intro to Geographic Information Systems at the University of New Mexico. So starting with this project, I knew I wanted to use the state of Montana because it's somewhere I'm interested in going to school for, but it is known as bear country, with over 18 fatal bear attacks just in the Glacier and Yellowstone National Parks. There are many more around the state, so it is pretty common for people to have to bear-proof their homes or carry bear spray when they're out hiking. They have to be incredibly cautious. So I wanted to know, how can we maybe prevent bears from roaming in these areas and help prevent bear attacks? Simplest answer was conservation. So using QGIS and opening it up, I first looked just at the entire state of Montana, which is shown by the red boundary. And as much as I would have loved to focus on the entire state, I limited myself to the northwest corner, occupying an area of roughly 13,000 miles, shown by that smaller square in the northwest corner. So to start this, I needed to create boundaries of where I couldn't place a conservation. Bears do need quite a bit of land to hunt, breed, and generally to live. And as they are a danger to the human population, I wanted to look at areas of the Northwest that are occupied. So all of these white dots represent every single church, town, airport, park, really any structure you can think of that is both being used and is abandoned. But to make this more manageable, I needed to look at the attribute table. It originally included 62,000 points, which was not only super daunting to look at the actual table, but also on the map. But by using the calculator, I selected the fields, including the class name populated areas, then inverted the selection and deleted everything else. And I was able to reduce the number from 62,000 to 2,057 populated areas. That's in the entire state. In this specific corner, there are 86. I then used the geoprocessing buffer tool around each populated area to create a buffer of 7 miles around each town, as the National Park Service suggests for people to stay anywhere from 300 to 500 yards away. But I'm looking for areas that bears can live for a long time and hunt, so I needed a much larger buffer than that. I dissolved the result to make it a little bit easier to look at, and I used super bright color so I was able to very clearly see what areas I could not touch. But populated land isn't the only factor. Glacier National Park does run into this northwest corner, as shown kind of in that northeast section. So I added the National Park Service admin boundary, so I also knew that that area was off limits. Finally, to look at what areas I could look at, I added the public land layer. The wetland was a little bit more open for a conservation. That is shown in the super bright yellow. But bears do need water and lakes and food sources. So I added in a layer for streams and then drew in more of the lakes that I could see. And this kind of told me that there are specific areas to stay away from because they don't have major food sources, such as that northwest corner. But using all this information, I drew out 5 possible conservation areas. They not only have streams or lakes, major food sources, but they are very far away from populated areas and only take up public land. Per the National Park Service, captive bears, such as the ones that would be in these conservations, need 0.2 miles of space. But all of these possible spaces have an area of over 20 miles, which I found out through the measurement tool of QGIS. So this is my final map that I made. This shows the 5 conservation areas as well as the streams and lakes to see food sources. And the red boundary is the state of Montana. Looking further, this is looking back at the entire state rather than just that northwest corner. All of the towns with buffers applied. I think it would be pretty interesting to do this project to find more areas around the entire state, as I could point out a few areas I think would be pretty good to put one. And I also think it'd be pretty interesting to redo this project using raster data to see how challenging it would be, or maybe how much easier it would be. Thank you to Dr. Yang and Ms. Sarah Guy for your support throughout the semester during this project. And of course, thank you for teaching the GIS system, the GIS class. I had a really, really fun time in this class, and I thought it was really cool to learn about everything. And I'm excited to see how it applies to whatever job I have later. Also, thank you to the Montana State Library for their data sets, and Montana Fish and Wildlife Management and the National Park Service for all the different background information I used to be able to kind of build these areas. Here's my contact information. After May of 2024, the only available email will be that bottom one, but until then, those two are my email if anyone would like to contact me. Thank you.